Okay, let's get started with IELTS advantages and disadvantages essay questions. Now, first of all, I would like to hand you this material and talk about the first question that usually appears in IELTS test paper. And the question says this: people now have the freedom to work and live anywhere in the world due to the development of communication technology and transportation. Do the advantages of this development outweigh the disadvantages? Now, usually in this type of questions, you will have to identify your opinion and give your opinion based on the advantages and disadvantages. That means you will have to provide the pros and cons, pluses and minuses, the differences and similarities of different topics, right, in IELTS. And usually this type of questions require you to include your personal opinion, but not always. Now, in this class, we're going to talk about whether or not you should include your personal opinion in advantages, disadvantages essay. Now, first of all, I need you to understand the task and follow my ideas, what I'm thinking right now. Now, as usual, as you know, in writing task 1, if we have not yet studied writing task 2, I should explain the basic structure. Now, it all boils down to this. You will have to write down the introduction, right, as usual. The second thing you're supposed to write is, of course, the thesis statement. Do you know what this is? Thesis statement? No. Okay. 3, body. 4, conclusion. Right? Conclusion. These are the basic 4 ingredients to write a very good IELTS writing task 2 essay, right? You already know what the introduction is, and you might know what the body may include. You might know what conclusion may have inside of it. I think the biggest question today is how to write the thesis statement for the writing task 2. Now, it's not going to be a very big problem since I'm going to explain this in very little details. Now, thesis statement is something, what I usually call, I'm going to use my red marker here, thesis statement is something like my intentions. So that means that before writing the actual essay, you will have to write down about your intentions. For example, you may include something like, in this essay, I'm going to describe the fact that a lot of people have the freedom nowadays to work and travel anywhere they want. I will provide my the pros and cons to this question and will draw a conclusion. So this is kind of your intentions. What are you going to do in this essay? That's something like this. So introduction, thesis statement, body, and conclusions are the main ingredients of a very good essay, and the thesis statement is just your intentions, okay? You will just have to write something like, or another idea might be, in this essay, I will describe the positive and negative issues of, for example, smoking, or something like this. So whatever it is, whatever the question is, you will have to include your own intentions, which are called like thesis statement, right? It's something like this. All right, now I'm going forward. I think you don't need to write this down because we're just going to discuss this a lot during our further questions. But I would like to ask a very ultimate question. A very ultimate question that a lot of students of IELTS usually ask. That is whether or not you should include your personal opinion in advantages, disadvantages essay. Some students say, yeah, sure, you have to, you must include your personal opinion, while others say, no, you're not supposed to do this. Which one is right and who is right? That depends on the situation, actually. And in order to define that situation, we need to write down one simple table on this whiteboard, okay? Once we write this table and sort things out, you will be able to differentiate between the situation when you're required to write down your personal opinion and when not to. Okay, so a simple table would go something like this. Okay, a table. And I'm going to use my green marker here and write down that opinion required. And in the right column, I will write opinion not required in advantages, disadvantages, essay. Now, that is very straightforward, actually. Your opinion is required only in two situations. So I'm going to draw them down in two rows here. Your opinion required is the situation when the question, action sentence of the question mentions the word outweigh. Do you know what outweigh means? What does outweigh mean? No. Outweigh is usually a situation when there are pieces. Right? So you put here 5 kilos and here, for example, 10 kilos. This one outweighs this one, right? It's outweighs. All right, and vice versa. So whenever there is a word outweigh in the action sentence of the question in IELTS Writing Task 2, you will have to do the following. I'm going to erase this part. And write it down. So first, introduction. 2, thesis statement. 3, body. Then, 3.1, you talk about advantages. 3.2, you talk about what? Disadvantages. 3.3, you include
conclusion.
No, conclusion is number 4. So 3.1 advantages, 3.2 disadvantages, 3.3 is opinion. Yes, your personal opinion is required when there is a word outweigh in the action sentence of the writing task 2, advantages and disadvantages. And finally, as point number 2, as item number 4, we will include conclusion. Right? Something like this. Also, another situation when your opinion is required is when the action sentence of the question goes something like this. Will this trend have more positive or negative effects? That means that the question is not asking directly for the advantages and disadvantages. It also requires your opinion on how well can you tell the advantages and disadvantages apart. That means how many pluses will be there and how many minuses will be there depend only on you. That means you will define this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give it 3 pluses, 3 advantages, and 2 disadvantages. See, it all depends on you, and that's why my best concern is that when you have this kind of action sentences in the questions of advantages and disadvantages essay, you will just have to include your personal opinion as point 3.3, 3.3, yes, something like this. Okay? Whole another situation is when your opinion is not required. But it's another situation, but the easiest situation actually. Why? Because when your opinion is not required, you're just going to get something like, what are advantages and disadvantages of this issue? That's it. Plain and simple. What are the advantages and disadvantages? The question is not requesting for your opinion, for your personal opinion. No. Just tell about advantages and disadvantages, just subjectively, okay? Subjectively tell your, give the advantages and disadvantages to the issue provided in the question. And then that just be all, all right, we're going to practice a little bit. Do we have some time? Yeah, we got like 7 minutes. We're just going to continue and we're just going to practice, okay? I have 3 questions, 3 subjects, 3 statements for writing test 2, advantages and disadvantages. I will read them to you and you will tell me whether your opinion is required or not required. Question 1. It is becoming increasingly popular to have a year off between finishing school and going to university. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this?
Not required.
Not required, exactly, because none of these cases appeared in the question. Great. Question 2. Some people think that it would be better for large companies and industries to move to regional areas outside large urban cities. Do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Opinion is required, exactly. So the word outweigh appears in the action sentence of the question. Excellent. And question number 3. With the rise of ebooks comes the decline in paper books. Some people see this as a good step forward, while others don't. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this trend? Not required, exactly. So today's topic has been fully covered, and I think that you are good to go to write very good essays on advantages and disadvantages themes. One thing I have to do is just I'm gonna go ahead and take my red marker here. I'm just gonna circle the item 3.3 with a red marker like this. Why am I doing this? Because your opinion is not always required. In this situation, you will just take out point 3.3, right? In these 2 cases, you will include it. And that's it. Okay? I think just straightforward. So, thank you very much for listening.